When most people think about fire damage, they picture charred walls and burned furniture, the stuff that you can see, right? But in my experiences working in the fire damage space, the damage that causes the most problems, the most expensive fix, the hardest to detect, and the most dangerous to your family's health is the damage that you actually cannot see. And that's the smoke and the soot. Today, I'm going to walk you through smoke and soot and what that actually does to your home, right? Why it's, more serious than most people realize, and what you need to know about how it's properly and improperly handled. So let's jump into it. Let's start with something most people don't fully understand: how smoke actually moves through a structure. Smoke doesn't stay where the fire was. It flows and follows air currents, pressure differentiations, and temperature gradients, meaning it travels into rooms that had no visible fire at all. It gets into your HVAC systems and gets reimbursed and redistributed through every room in the house. It penetrates porous materials, drywall, insulation, wood framing, not just the surfaces, but deep into the material itself. And when the smoke cools, it deposits a residue, and that's soot. And that soot is not just a cosmetic problem. As you can see on this slide, by the time a fire is extinguished, smoke has typically traveled through the entire structure, which means the scope of damage is almost always larger than what's visible. And I've seen in our company, we've seen a lot of insurance companies deem properties total losses just because of the smoke and the soot, even though it doesn't visibly look like it's a total loss. This is so dangerous that many times insurance companies say the property is done for. Now, here's something most homeowners and even some restoration contractors don't fully understand yet. Not all soot is the same, okay? I'm gonna say that again. Not all soot is the same. And the type of soot determines how it has to be cleaned, okay? So there are 4 main types, all right? The first, dry soot. Now, this comes from fast burning, low temperature fires. Think like wood or paper. It's powdery and it's easier to clean, but it spreads easily and it gets into everything. Okay. Wet soot is next, right? Wet soot comes from slow burning, high temperature fires involving synthetics and plastics. It's sticky, it smears easily, and has a strong odor to it. Much harder to clean and often requires specialized agents. All right. Now, protein residue. This comes from typically kitchen fires involving organic material. It's almost invisible. So it's very thin, varnish-like film, but it has an extremely strong odor and bonds tightly to surfaces. And then we have fuel oil soot, which comes from furnace malfunctions or fuel burning fires. It's thick, black, highly adhesive, and requires specific cleaning protocols. So as you can see on this slide, applying the wrong cleaning method to the wrong type of soot doesn't just fail to clean it, but it can actually set the residue deeper into the surface, and make it significantly harder or basically impossible to remove properly. Now let's talk about what soot does to people, because that is the part homeowners don't get told clearly. So soot particles are extremely small, very, 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 very tiny. Some measured in like microns, which means they bypass your nose and your throat's natural filtration system and go directly into your lungs. Soot carries carcinogens. It carries heavy metals. It carries organic compounds, right? Short-term exposure causes respiratory irritation, coughing, headaches, eye irritation. But long-term or repeated exposure to improperly remediated smoke residue is associated with much more serious respiratory conditions. Guys, please, please, please do not stay in your home after a fire. I know this is a random tangent, but I can't tell you how many clients we've had that are still living in the home after the fire. There's resources, contact us. I know it is hard to find places if you don't have ALE, but we can do everything to help in our power and try to do everything in your power to not stay in the home after a fire. But nonetheless, this is why going back into a fire damage structure, especially spending time there without a respirator, carries real risk. And it's why professional air quality testing after remediation is not optional. It's how you verify the space is actually safe to go back into. So as you can see on this slide, this is not a cosmetic issue. It's really a health issue. Beyond health, soot causes significant physical damage to your belongings, especially things that aren't, obviously burned. So electronics are a major one, right? Soot is acidic. So when it settles on circuit boards, capacitors, and metal contacts, it begins a corrosion process. So the device may look completely fine from the outside, but internally, it's already began to get majorly destroyed. So many homeowners don't discover this until weeks later when a device fails, after the insurance claim has already closed, and now it's too late to get recouped for that. So the same applies to fabrics and clothing. Soot bonds to fibers. Standard washing often isn't enough to remove it, and it can set odors permanently. So artwork, photographs, documents, these are all highly vulnerable, and even a small amount of soot exposure can cause irreversible discoloration and deterioration. And one I want you to really highlight here, if you're taking notes, HVAC systems. They require special and specific attention. If soot gets distributed through the ductwork, it continues to circulate through the home even after the visible surfaces are cleaned. So as you can see on this slide, document everything before any cleaning begins. Electronics, appliances, clothing, personal property, all of it, this is part of your claim. So here's one of the most important things I can tell you in this video, outside of not staying in the home after a fire, which is cleaning that looks effective is not always a cleaning that is effective. So DIY soot cleanup, using like household cleaners, wiping surfaces, burning candles to cover the odor, that really pushes residue deeper into porous materials rather than removing it. And it addresses what you can see while leaving what you can't see completely untouched. Okay, so this creates what is known as like basically an illusion of clean. The surfaces look beautiful, they look better, they look cleaned up, but the odor is temporarily masked, right? The residue is still in the walls and the insulation and the ductwork. So here's why that matters beyond your health. If a property inspector or a future buyer detects residual smoke, odor, or damage, they will eventually smell or see these things, by the way, especially the inspectors. It's going to significantly affect your property's value. So some buyers are going to walk away. Many are going to walk away. Others will use it as major leverage for you to drop the home value and the price of your home. So proper remediation requires air scrubbing with HEPA filtration, thermal fogging, ozone treatments. For odors, we see those used a lot. Specialized chemical agents matched to the soot type, and in some cases, at least, removing and replacing the affected materials. So, as you can see on this slide, this is why professional remediation, honestly, is not a luxury. It's what is actually going to solve the problem. And then we have the financial reality of unaddressed smoke and soot damage. So a home, just for example, like a home that has residual smoke, odor, or hidden smoke damage is significantly harder to sell and at a significantly lower price sell. So buyers and their inspectors are trained to detect these things. Mortgage lenders often require remediation certifications before financing will be approved on a fire damaged property. Even if you're not selling it immediately, unaddressed smoke residue continues to cause damage over time. So corroding metal fixtures, degrading materials and creating conditions for secondary issues like mold, if moisture is present, right? So the decision of how to address smoke and soot damage, whether through professional remediation or through other options for the property, is one of the most important decisions in the aftermath of a fire, and it should be made, with full information. So if you've taken anything from this video, I hope it's this. Please do not stay in the home after a fire, and the visible damage from a fire is only part of the story. All right. So the smoke and soot you can't see deserve just as much, if not more, attention. Right. Get a professional assessment, full scope of work before anyone starts cleaning. All right. Document everything for your insurance claim, and make sure whoever handles remediation understands the type of damage they're dealing with, right? Because we talked about a few different types of soot and a few different types of damages. So if you want to talk through what it means specifically for your property, or you're at the stage now where you're thinking of either preparing or selling your property, don't forget to check out all the links in my bio for our companies, Fire Catch Fire, House Fire Solutions, and my Calendly link there as well if you'd like to connect. Always no pressure, always no obligations. All links are in the description, and subscribe for more content and share with a peer or a family member who may be going through a tough situation. So thank you for watching this content here. Once again, my name is Louis Swan. Take care.